Shalom, and welcome back to Zelem Elohim Ministries. This video is one of what I hope will be many videos speaking on one of the weekly readings, as promised. The reading for this week is Parashah Kedoshim, and there's, of course, in Messianic Judaism, there are three different readings, one from the Brit Hadashah of the New Testament, as well as the Half-Torah and the Torah. And that means the Torah as well as the prophetic books, or I should say the rest of the Tanakh, and then from the Brit Hadashah. This week I'm going to choose to speak about the Brit Hadashah reading, and of course the weekly readings are related, so there is overlap between them. And so the passage for this week is Mark 12, 28 to 34. Let me read it to you and then I'll speak about it. And one of the scribes came, and having heard them reasoning together, and perceiving that he had answered them well, asked, "Which is the first commandment of all?" And Jesus answered him, "The first of all the commandments is, Hear, O Israel, the Lord our God is one Lord. And you shall love the Lord your God with all your heart, and with all your soul, and with all your mind, and with all your strength. This is the first commandment. And the second is like it, namely this, You shall love your neighbor as yourself. There is none other commandment greater than these." And the scribe said unto him, "Well, Master, you have said truth. For there is one God, and there is none other but He. And to love Him with all the heart, and with all the understanding, and with all the soul, and with all the strength, and to love his neighbor as himself, is more than all whole burnt offerings and sacrifices." And when Jesus saw he answered discreetly, he said unto him, "You are not far from the kingdom of heaven." And we see in this passage this scribe asking Yeshua, what is the most important commandment? And he says something that is familiar to every Jewish person. Shema Israel, Adonai Eloheinu, Adonai Echad. And he then goes to tell him to love the Lord God with all his heart, soul, mind, and strength, and to love his neighbor as himself. This is known as the Vahavta. And this is the greatest commandment. This commandment is better than, and more important than, I should say, not better than, all of the other commandments and all of the sacrificial system that is talked about in the Torah. The goal of the Torah, the goal of the Tanakh, the goal of the Scriptures is to enable us to love God and to love others. Now, the Torah portion for this week is in Leviticus 19:1 to 20:27 if you want to read it. That particular portion of the Torah talks about many of the same themes that are talked about here in the book of Mark by Yeshua. And it talks about treating your neighbor the same way that you want to be treated. It talks about loving your neighbor. It talks about treating the sojourner, which means Gentiles essentially, the same as those who are born in the land of Israel. And that is very important to Hashem. Not just that we love Him and are devoted to Him, but that we also love other people, that we treat them decently, that we treat them fairly. And all of the Torah HaMashiach relies and it comes from these two commandments. This is what the goal of our walk with God needs to be. It needs to start from loving God, serving God, obeying God, repenting and turning from our wicked ways, and loving one another. That needs to be the focus of our walk. And that is what Yeshua is talking about in this passage. So the takeaway from this is this, because this video is already over 5 minutes long, and it's, how can you love your neighbor? How can you love other people in the community as Yeshua has called you and me and all of us to do? That is something that we must live out on a daily basis. And who is our neighbor? Everyone is our neighbor. Other human beings are our neighbor. And Yeshua's teachings went beyond that of the Pharisees. He went beyond that of many others and said that we must even love our enemies. We must even love those who are far away from God. They also are deserving of love. They also are deserving of being treated the same, of being treated as our neighbor. This isn't always an easy passage to live up to. All of us have times when we wish we did not have to behave lovingly to other people. All of us have people that get under our skin. But Yeshua's teaching to us, and his requirement, is that we act in love. That we act in forgiveness. That we act by treating them equally, by treating them with love as we would like to be treated. And that's something we must always work to achieve. I'm not saying I'm there. I don't think any of us are there. But that must be the goal of our walk. And so I urge you to take these words of Yeshua to heart. And I wish you a wonderful Sabbath and a great week ahead. Until I see you again, Shalom.